The movie opens in 1954. U.S. Marshal named Teddy Daniels is on a ferry headed to Shutter Island, a remote island off the coast of Boston. He's traveling with his new partner, Chuck All. Right away, we get that eerie vibe. The island looks isolated, the waters are choppy, and Teddy is already feeling uneasy. He's seasick and clearly haunted by something from his past. We start getting quick flashbacks and dreamlike images, including his wife, Dolores, who died in a fire. Now, why are Teddy and Chuck going to this island? They've been sent to investigate the disappearance of a patient named Rachel Solando from Ashcliffe Hospital, a facility for the criminally insane. Rachel supposedly vanished from a locked cell. No one knows how. The windows are barred. The doors were locked. The guards didn't see anything. Basically, it's a mystery with no possible solution. When Teddy and Chuck arrive, they're greeted by Dr. Colley, the head psychiatrist, and Deputy Warden McPherson. But right away, something feels off. The staff are polite, but secretive. They don't give straight answers. Teddy requests patient files and staff records, especially for Rachel's doctor, Dr. Sheehan, but Colley refuses. He claims it's for privacy reasons. But we get the sense that Teddy isn't just here for the missing patient. He's looking for something else. In fact, Teddy tells Chuck that he's been wanting this assignment. Why? Because he believes that Andrew Leddes, the man who set the fire that killed his wife, is being kept on this island. So now, the investigation has two tracks. 1. Where's Rachel Solando? 2. Is Andrew Leddes really on the island? As Teddy digs deeper, things only get weirder. They find a note in Rachel's room that says, "The Law of Four. Who is 67? We don't know what it means yet, but it's clearly important." Meanwhile, Teddy keeps having vivid flashbacks and hallucinations. We see him reliving World War II, specifically the liberation of Dachau concentration camp. And we also see his dead wife, Dolores, who appears to him in visions, whispering cryptic warnings like, "You have to find Leddes." These aren't just memories, they're haunting him, and we're not sure what's real and what's imagined. To make things worse, a huge hurricane hits the island, cutting off communication and power. Patients start to escape. The staff loses control. The atmosphere gets even more claustrophobic, more chaotic. Teddy's migraines get worse. He's taking medication and smoking hospital-provided cigarettes, both of which start to raise red flags. And in one eerie moment, a patient secretly writes just one word in Teddy's notebook: "Run." The mystery is deepening, and it's starting to feel like this island has its own dark secrets. Teddy becomes more desperate. He believes the doctors are hiding something major, like illegal experiments on patients in a secret facility, possibly in the island's lighthouse. He also confesses to Chuck that a man named George Noyce, who warned him about Shutter Island, was sent here and then released, mentally broken. Teddy thinks the hospital is trying to create ghosts, people who don't exist on paper, who can disappear without a trace. When Rachel suddenly reappears, found with no explanation, Teddy isn't buying it. Something's not right. And now, Teddy starts to suspect his own partner, Chuck. He notices that Chuck doesn't seem to have proper credentials, and at one point, Chuck disappears completely. That's where things take a major turn. Teddy is alone now. Chuck is missing. The storm has made everything worse, and Teddy starts having more bizarre visions. In one dream, he sees Rachel asking him why he didn't save her children. Then he sees his wife again. She says, "Leddes is here. You can't leave." Determined to find answers, Teddy heads to the most dangerous area on the island, Ward C, where the most violent patients are kept. Inside, he finds George Noyce, the man who warned him about Shutter Island. George tells him flat out, "You're not who you think you are." He says that everything Teddy thinks is real, it's a lie, that the hospital is using him, that Chuck isn't his partner, that Leddes is Teddy himself. Teddy is shaken, but still doesn't believe it. He's convinced that the doctors are trying to gaslight him, that they want to perform a lobotomy on him to silence him. Then he hears that all paths lead to one place, the lighthouse. Teddy makes his way there, sneaking past guards and climbing inside. He's expecting to find an operating table, surgical equipment, maybe prisoners. Instead, he finds Dr. Cawley calmly waiting for him. No scalpels, no experiments, just the truth. Cawley tells Teddy, "You've been a patient here for 2 years." That's right. The entire investigation, the partner, the missing woman, it's all part of an elaborate role play designed to help Teddy, or rather, Andrew Leddes, confront reality. And just then, Chuck walks in. But he's not Chuck. He's Dr. Sheehan, Andrew's actual psychiatrist. They tell him this was their last effort to bring Andrew back to sanity before the hospital gives up and performs a lobotomy on him. And now everything clicks. Edward Daniels is an anagram for Andrew Leddes. Rachel Solando is an anagram for Dolores Chanel, his wife. The Law of Four, who is 67. Andrew is patient 67. He wasn't sent here to investigate a case. He's the patient they've been trying to save. So now we're face to face with the truth. Teddy Daniels is a lie. He's actually Andrew Leddes, a patient who's been at Ashcliff for 2 years. This whole detective fantasy, the missing patient, the conspiracy, Chuck being his partner, it was all a role play. Why? Because 2 years ago, Andrew had a mental breakdown so severe, he lost touch with reality. His mind invented a whole new persona, someone who hadn't committed any crimes, someone who was still fighting for justice. And the reason for that breakdown? It's heartbreaking. Dr. Cawley now reveals the real story. Andrew was married to Dolores Chanel, the same woman he keeps seeing in his hallucinations. She was mentally ill, severely depressed, but Andrew ignored the signs. He didn't get her the help she needed. And one day, she did the unthinkable. She drowned their 3 children in a lake behind their house. When Andrew came home and saw what she had done, he shot her. Right there, his own wife. That trauma broke him completely. Instead of dealing with the grief, the guilt, and the pain, Andrew's mind created a fantasy. He was a hero, a U.S. Marshal. He didn't have a dead wife who killed their children. He was chasing someone else's monster, an arsonist, Leddes, who burned down his apartment. But in reality, Andrew Leddes is the monster he's been chasing. The roleplay fails, or does it? Now here's where it gets intense. Dr. Cawley explains that this was their final attempt to break through Andrew's delusions before the hospital gives up and authorizes a lobotomy. He says, "Tried everything. This was our last shot, and it works. At least it seems to." Andrew begins to remember. He breaks down, sobbing. He admits what he did. He talks about his wife drowning their kids. He finally accepts that she needed help and that he failed her. He takes responsibility for it all. It's one of the most emotional scenes in the movie. A man coming face to face with the worst truth imaginable. And Dr. Cawley? He's hopeful. Maybe, just maybe, Andrew is cured. But the next morning comes. Andrew is sitting outside with Chuck, aka Dr. Sheehan. And what happens next is the real twist. Andrew looks at him and says, "Boss, would you rather live as a monster or die as a good man?" Now remember, earlier, Andrew had accepted who he was. He remembered everything. But this line suggests something else. He's pretending to be Teddy Daniels again. He's acting like the delusion is back. And that means the therapy failed, right? Dr. Sheehan gives a small nod to the hospital staff. A quiet signal. Andrew is going to be lobotomized. But then, that line again, "Would you rather live as a monster or die as a good man?" It changes everything. Was Andrew really slipping back into his delusion? Or was he faking it because he couldn't live with the truth? That's what makes this ending so powerful. Maybe he remembered everything and chose to pretend to be Teddy again, so they'd lobotomize him. So he wouldn't have to live with the memory of his dead children, his murdered wife, and his own guilt. Maybe he'd rather die as a good man than live as the monster who let it all happen. Hit like and subscribe for more movie explanation videos.